On the night of June 12, 1994, Los Angeles awoke to the sound of gunshots that would ignite the most watched criminal case in American history. Within hours, the bodies of Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman were discovered in the brutal, shallow grave of a vacant lot, and a former NFL star named Orenthal James O.J. Simpson became the prime suspect. O.J. Simpson was not just a former football legend. He was a cultural icon who had transcended sport to become a Hollywood regular, a charismatic commercial pitchman, and a beloved figure in the fabric of 1970s and 80s America. His 1976 Heisman Trophy and 1975 NFL MVP awards cemented his status as the greatest on the field, while his post-football ventures hosting The O.J. Simpson Show, starring in movies, and starring in a long-running Coca-Cola campaign, made his face instantly recognizable in living rooms across the nation. By the time the murders occurred, Simpson's celebrity was so entrenched that any allegation against him would ripple far beyond a courtroom, striking at the very heart of race, fame, and the criminal justice system. The day after the murders, detectives from the Los Angeles Police Department's elite robbery homicide division, led by Detective Mark Fuhrman, entered the crime scene. A trail of blood, a bloody glove, and a pair of mismatched footprints hinted at a violent struggle. Within 48 hours, a battered, blood-splattered O.J. Simpson was spotted driving his white Ford Bronco at a high speed, sparking a televised police chase that racked up 90 million live viewers. The image of Simpson's face, half covered by a police helmet, became an indelible symbol of the nation's collective gas. What followed was a legal showdown that would be called the trial of the century. Simpson assembled a defense team that would later be dubbed the Dream Team. Johnny Cochran, famed for his courtroom charisma; Robert Shapiro, the master negotiator; F. Lee Bailey, a legendary litigator; and a cadre of specialists, Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld, pioneers of DNA analysis; and Alan Dershowitz, a Harvard professor of law. On the prosecution side, Marcia Clark, a seasoned prosecutor, and Christopher Darden, a charismatic African-American attorney, faced the daunting task of proving guilt beyond a reasonable doubt in a case that hinged on new forensic science and a fraught history of racial tension in L.A. The trial opened on January 24, 1995, and for the next 9 months, the courtroom became a theater watched by an estimated 150 million viewers worldwide. DNA evidence, then a novel tool, played a starring role. Blood found at the scene matched both Simpson and the victims, while a single strand of Simpson's hair was recovered from the glove. Yet the defense seized upon the same science to raise doubts. They argued that the LAPD had contaminated evidence, that the blood samples were mishandled, and that Detective Fuhrman's history of racist slurs tainted the investigation. The moment when Fuhrman was questioned about his past remarks, and then responded, "If I had to do it again, I would," sparked a firestorm that turned the trial into a referendum on police credibility. In a dramatic courtroom moment that would echo for decades, Cochran presented a single, infamous glove, one of the gloves found at the crime scene, asking Simpson to try it on for the jury. When the leather fit tightly, Simpson's own voice crackled over the speakers. "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." The visual of the oversized glove, paired with the phrase, turned the courtroom into a stage where a simple physical mismatch seemed to cast doubt on the prosecution's narrative. The trial also aired the nation's deepest divides. African-American communities, still haunted by the 1991 Rodney King beating and the 1992 L.A. riots, watched the proceedings through a lens of systemic distrust. For many, the defense's emphasis on police racism resonated more than the forensic facts. Conversely, many white viewers focused on the damning DNA evidence, seeing Simpson's fame as a shield that could not hide the truth. Media coverage, from nightly news segments to tabloid headlines, amplified every argument, turning the courtroom into a cultural battlefield. On October 3, 1995, after less than 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict of not guilty. The courtroom erupted with cheers from Simpson supporters and stunned silence from others. The nation split along racial and socioeconomic lines. Polls showed a stark divide, with a majority of African American respondents believing in Simpson's innocence, while a majority of white respondents believed he was guilty. The verdict did not close the case. Later that year, a civil jury found Simpson liable for the wrongful deaths of Brown and Goldman, awarding their families $33.5 million, a sum that would become a symbol of the unresolved tension surrounding the criminal trial. In the years that followed, the legacy of the O.J. Simpson trial reverberated through popular culture, legal practice, and public policy. The case cemented DNA evidence as a cornerstone of modern forensic science, prompting stricter protocols for evidence handling. It also forced a national conversation about race, policing, and celebrity influence on the justice system, issues that remain painfully relevant today. Simpson's life after the trial spiraled. He faced multiple legal troubles, culminating in a 2008 conviction for armed robbery and kidnapping, for which he served 9 years before release. The story of O.J. Simpson is more than a tale of a sports star turned suspect. It is a mirror held up to a country wrestling with its own contradictions. Subscribe to The Verdict for more stories like this.